strongest presenters, and I know certainly a colorful personality that everybody will enjoy this evening. At this time, I'll turn it over to Barry to get started. Go ahead, Barry.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Our 100th anniversary is not only about our goal of $110 million, but it's about changing the world again. It's about saving and protecting more than 61 million women and their future babies from tetanus, a needless and totally preventable disease. It's about providing life-saving education for the most forgotten. And it's about sending a message to the world that all people matter. And let me tell you, we need to complete this. At this point, I'd like to turn it back over to Michael, who's going to give us the progress update.
Thanks, Barry. Just to give everybody an overview of where we sit right now, about 72.5 million funds raised for the Eliminate Project worldwide. Just to emphasize, this is the most funds raised by Kiwanis in the shortest period of time in its 100-year history, something that we all should be very proud of. About 37 million left to go. More than 890 model and 100K clubs worldwide. Also, 8 out of every 10 clubs around the world are participating in the Eliminate Project at some level. And also we have more than 7,300 Walter Zeller Fellows. A lot of these numbers are as of November 16th, so that we'll have new numbers coming out shortly. I really have great news to share that you might have already heard, especially if you joined us last night. But according to a new report by the Child Health Epidemiology Reference Group, the number of babies dying from neonatal tetanus dropped more than 15% since we started this campaign. Truly a testament to our impact. Thanks to Kiwanis International, UNICEF and its partners, approximately 9,000 fewer babies die each year. That's 25 fewer each day from neonatal tetanus. That means one baby now dies every 11 minutes, whereas before we were reporting one baby died every 9 minutes from neonatal tetanus. This is absolutely outstanding, but still 134 babies die each day. We must act now so we can close the remaining gap of 37.5 million to help women and babies around the world. Also, as you can see, 35 countries have eliminated the disease since we started the campaign, with 24 remaining. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Barry so we can get started.
Thank you, Michael. Obviously, everyone is here to learn more about model clubs, how to effectively present to a potential model club, and gather some tips on how to make your presentation from good or maybe not so good to great. This is an overview of the things that we're going to cover in the next hour. The importance of the and basics of a model club. We will go over steps to present and making the ask. And I'm going to emphasize many times tonight, making the ask. You have to ask them at the end of the program and during the program to become a model club. The tools for success we're also going to discuss, and some tips and reminders. And we will open up for questions or feedback at the end of the, from the group at the end. A model club is a club that is committed to raising a per member average of $750 over 5 years, or $150 per member a year. And each member will help to protect 416 women and their future babies. But let me emphasize this. We want to try and get as many members to donate, but we also have to come up with some focuses, which we're going to discuss in a few minutes, to raise money through different fundraisers in different ways in the model club itself. We call it the Kiwanis way of fundraising, getting people involved and getting the clubs involved and getting outside sources involved. We combined everything, and that's how we come up with the 750. I come up with everything from the Treasury, from the club foundations, and from local businesses. Model club pledges lead to increased visibility in the community, and it creates a culture of giving and creates enthusiasm within the club. And let me speak from experience. It has created great enthusiasm in my club of 40 members. And we are well on our way to making our pledge. And it works. Club commitments are very important because it also gives Kiwanis and UNICEF an idea of what kind of funds are going to be coming in each year so that they can go out and that they can, make more steps into other areas, into other countries. And model clubs are leading the way on our global campaign. To date, model and 100K clubs have raised about half of our campaign total. How to present a model club. At this point in the campaign, many clubs in each district have already heard and understand about the Eliminate project, and in some cases, they have already gotten a model club presentation, a PowerPoint from somebody with all the slides and with everything, and have been asked. But what we need to do is we need to get the word out better. As Michael shared with you, 8 out of 10 clubs worldwide have given to the campaign in some way, but we need more. Many clubs have already had a presentation from several different areas on model clubs or just on the Eliminate project. So let's walk through the steps for your next presentation. The first step is scheduling a meeting. Contact the leaders of the clubs, ideally the president, to identify the soonest available meeting. Another thing that I usually do before I make a presentation is I contact the lieutenant governor in that division and ask him who the movers and shakers in that club are. Is it the president or is it other people that we have to get to talk to them? All right? Call them. Don't email them all the time or send them anything online. Call them. You will get further with a phone call than you will with anything else. There's 3 types of meetings that we like, as you can see on the screen, that we want you to that are work. The first one, when you're speaking to the president, is to try and attend a board meeting. Before it was trying to attend a club meeting, now it's to try and attend a board meeting because the board is the one that makes the decisions. Get into a board meeting and discuss with them about the model club, and a dialogue of questions and answers will be a lot easier. If you get this chance to go into depth on how to achieve a model club, you're probably going to be more successful. The second choice would be a leadership lunch or some kind of meeting, and invite the leaders of the club to a lunch or some other kind of meeting where you can explain to them the details of being a model club and how easy it is to achieve. And the third option is a club program. Don't get discouraged if this is the only option, please. Many successful programs have led to model club commitments, and I can speak from experience. In the beginning, we were pushing to do programs with a PowerPoint presentation, and 7 of the model clubs that I personally have brought on were through programs to the club. So, but we really would like to meet with the board because we feel that that now is a better opportunity. The most important thing is to get into any type of meeting and to talk to the people of influence in the club. Grab their attention before the meeting to gain their support and gather their insight on how to make a model club ask most effective, because every club is different. You got to talk to these people and learn about the read on them. Laying the groundwork with the influential members of the club is one of the single best things you can do to ensure a commitment of being a model club. Before a presentation, another thing is to master the presentation before you give it. You must tell them why the Eliminate project is so important and why their club should care. Know the facts and figures include an emotional tie. Most great cases include 3 components. I believe that the first one listed here is the second one, and that's to educate the audience. They need to know what they are doing and why they're going to support this. Tell them about the campaign and the effects of the tetanus on a baby's body, the impact of $1.80, and that one baby dies every 11 minutes, and make sure that you tell them that this is a new stat from the 9 minutes before. One thing that I found successful is you want to inspire your audience. You want to put a hook into them in some way. When I've been giving my presentations to the clubs, what I've done in my PowerPoint presentation, I've started with a fact about a baby being born in 1999 in a hospital in New Jersey that was born 6.5 weeks premature, and she was in this neonatal intensive care unit for a few weeks but her parents didn't have to worry about any unsanitary conditions or anything else because that hospital was equipped with the most up-to-date maternal and neonatal equipment then and now today. And then I show a second slide of the same baby, now 15 years old. And I stress to them that she's a healthy young woman that plays volleyball, that's a member of Key Club, a member of the New Jersey District Key Club Board, and she's my granddaughter. And I use that a little bit as a hook to get into the people, to tell them that part of this is what I've done has inspired me, and my experiences because of her have inspired me to go on and work toward this. And the final and the most important thing is to ask. You have to ask them. Some people go in and they either do a PowerPoint or show a video, and at the end they don't ask the club and they don't have all their facts in line so that they're ready to ask the club and answer any questions that the club may have as to what they're doing. This is the most important thing. All right, now let's talk about the presentation itself. You've scheduled the meeting, you practice your case for support in front of the mirror, now what? Of course, you will incorporate fundraising updates and show the progress, just like Michael did at the beginning, and then you will turn your attention to the club. You want to show the club how it can make an impact and how this is attainable. Break down the numbers for them. There is a in the Model Club brochure and also on the website, there is a breakdown worksheet, and I always make sure that I have made one up for that club before I go, and I bring it with me and I make copies of it so I can hand it out. You can do that. And let's just take an example. If a club has 30 members, its pledge at $750 a member would be $22,500. This is only $4,500 a year. And I bet the club has already given some money toward the project. So subtract that from the total and then ask the club to think about how much of their annual fundraisers bring in. Can they do another fundraiser just for the Eliminate project? As I said, use the handout, use this Excel spreadsheet type form to help you. Also, emphasize the impact. 416 lives per member. Imagine how many families each club will keep whole through this commitment. Give them examples. If you're presenting to a small club, share examples of clubs of only a few members that have become model clubs. New clubs. We have an example of one of those. In fact, in a club in the Florida district is making its model club commitment during its charter night. Contact your campaign area director at the Eliminate Project for more stories. And I can tell you of stories for small clubs that no club is too small. And some clubs are hesitant, but once you sit down and you show them the numbers, you can break down that barrier. Believe me. You will see here that it mentions the model club match. We will discuss a model club match in a few minutes. All right, it's something new, and we're going to go over it in detail. Once the presentation is over, your work is not complete. Follow-up is crucial. First, at the end of the presentation, thank the club. Thank them for all that they've done in the past and all that they can do for you, and thank them for greeting you and letting you come in tonight and talk to them. They might say right there on the spot that they want to be a model club. If so, congratulate them. It's great. But in many cases, the club will need some time to discuss the opportunity with the members and the board itself. Find out before you leave the meeting or the board meeting when their next board meeting is and when they're going to make a decision, and get a date so that you can follow up before it and follow up right after it again to know what the situation is. If and when the club says yes, then give them a copy of the model club form to be signed and emailed to the Eliminate project. Again, this can be found online under the handouts or the model club for the model club form. The campaign office also can email you a copy. what I do is I take one and I fill it in with the club name and everything and have it all filled out and ready to go, and I hand it to them, whether they're going to make a decision that night or not. I hand it to them right then and there before I leave so that they have a couple of copies of that. And then I ask them to get it to me or fax it to me, and then I fax it to the Eliminate Project office immediately so that we know what's going on. Also, follow up a week after the first meeting to get any feel that they may have or any questions so that they can help you out. Now you know some of my secrets to an effective club presentation. I try to have fun with my people. I try to kid them. I know a lot of people, and I've only given presentations in New Jersey, but I'm the only one that gives presentations in New Jersey, and being a past governor and being around forever, I know a lot of these people. But you got to try and make yourself personal and get out there. We not only need to ask boards to consider a model club, but we also need to show them how they can achieve it. Educating the leaders of our clubs is one of the most important things that we do, and the avenues of individual giving and recognition are also ways to show the club leaders that a model club pledge is achievable. Here are 4 tools that get the club to their model club goal. First, we have the match that I mentioned earlier. Now, please pay attention, close attention to this. All U.S. clubs and districts are eligible for the match. Thanks to an anonymous donor, clubs that commit to becoming a model club will be credited with 1 year's worth or 20% of the fundraising that it would need to reach a model club goal. Very simply, if a club has 40 members and has a model club pledge of $30,000, and if the club has already donated $5,000, it would have $25,000 remaining, or $5,000 a year left. The anonymous donor will credit 20% of that, or $5,000. So that means that their pledge would either be reduced by a year or would be $4,000 a year for 5 years. The only stipulation on this is that clubs have 30 days from being asked to decide whether they will accept the matching offer and become a model club. Simply, that means if a club were the official ask was today, then it would need to decide by January 4th as to whether or not they will become a model club. This should allow enough time for at least one board meeting and a few club meetings to discuss the situation. I emphasize, you can maybe mention it to somebody before, but when you give the official thing to them and discuss it with them, they have 30 days from that point to make the decision. The next avenue is the Save the Baby. And if anyone attended last night's webinar, you know all about this new initiative. It stresses the impact of $1.80. Think about it. If you woke up every morning knowing that you would save a baby from tetanus, every day you made a difference in the world. This initiative is about showcasing the impact a gift to the Eliminate Project will have. There are materials available that you can request, and if some of you are model club presenters on a speakers bureau now, I think that you should have already received a box of these so that you can hand them out to your desks throughout your areas so that people can make the pledge. There's two different things. There's a flyer, and then there's a handout that it has the pledge on it. I'm sorry. Use the materials and go to the board meetings with them and give them to the people so that they understand what it is. Save a Baby for a year is $657, as it shows on the screen, and protects 365 lives. And if you save it for 2 years, it's $1,304 to save 730 lives. Now, the next thing is the Centennial Award, and which is $1,500. And if you do that on a basis of a Save the Baby thing, this is, I think it's 830 people will be saved, and it takes about 2.5 years for this money to be raised. So this is simply another way. The Centennial Award is new, and it honors our 100 years of service. The limited edition recognition is available for gifts of $1,500. These gifts will benefit the Eliminate Project and help Kiwanis deliver its gift to the world without maternal and neonatal tetanus. This gift appeals to Kiwanians, to a Kiwanian who is motivated to honor and be a part of the Kiwanis 100th anniversary celebration. This award can be pledged over 2 years. Donors will receive a lapel pin at the time of the pledge and a frame for certificate and a medallion upon completion. These awards are only available during the Kiwanis Centennial Year. Most importantly, donors will save or protect 830 women and their future babies. I believe in this award. I think that this award is good. I think that it shows a few different things for Kiwanis, and I'll go on record as saying here that I am pledging, sending in a pledge card tomorrow for my Centennial Award. Of course, the Walter Zeller Fellowship is another important resource that most are probably familiar with. Donors can give $1,250 and will receive a lapel pin and medallion. The Zeller Fellowship has been hugely popular during the campaign. Remember, donors have only until June of 2015 to receive this recognition, with the one caveat that if your club has a pledge that's ongoing for the next 3 or 4 years, you can get a Zeller against that pledge. You can pay toward that pledge with buying a Zeller, and that will continue, but only if your club has a pledge. Here are some tips to keep in mind about the presentation. A wrap presenting to a club. I said this before and I'll say it again. Read the audience and make it personal. A club presentation tailored to one club might not be the same as for another. Use emotion. Tell a story. Emphasize why. Why do you care? Why should this club give? And why is the Eliminate Project important? And of course, follow up. You've got to follow up several times until you know what the situation is, and make sure you send a thank you note to them after you're at the presentation, and make sure you definitely send a thank you note to them after it's all over. You got to let them know what's going on. All right, you have to keep involved with them. Sorry. The most important thing is ask. Ask. Constantly ask. Ask during the presentation. Ask after the presentation. And please talk to these people and tell them what they need, that they have to, that when you do it, talk to them. Please tell them, I'm asking you now and I'll ask you again. Schedule a board visit as soon as possible. We only have 7 months left to do this, and we need to get it done. And communicate progress with your district coordinator and the campaign office. Share tips with fellow volunteers. What worked well? What can you share with others? In fact, let us hear from the group. Tell us what tips you have by typing them into the question box. Michael will read some of them for all of us.
All right. Thank you very much, Barry, for leading us through that great webinar and sharing some of your insights and tips into how you've been able to be so successful in getting clubs to become model clubs. All right, as a reminder, everybody, on the control panel on the screen is a questions box. as you've been doing during the webinar, please feel free to continue to enter in questions that you may have for Barry or myself about model clubs. We could even include if you have a specific situation or a club or an individual, a tough nut to crack. Please share that information with us, and we can try to problem solve it here tonight. Barry, first question here is about gatekeepers. This is one I hear pretty frequently, and I'd love to get your insight into. It's asking here, what do you do if you're trying to schedule a board visit or a club visit, and the club president keeps telling you, no, my club isn't interested in the Eliminate project? How would you approach that situation to where you could still get in and make a model club ask?
Well, I try and go backdoor it and talk to, in other words, if the president is the one that keeps pushing me away and, it doesn't want somebody to come in, it may be the president. I mean, before this, we said, wait till a new president comes in October, but now we're into that last year, so we've got to move. I go to the secretary, or I call the lieutenant governor and find out the names of a couple of other people in that club that may be influential and get us in the door and let me go in and talk to the club. I've done that a couple of times and been successful. Sometimes you got to go around people, and yeah, they may be ticked off at you, but at least you get in the door. I have one club that we pounded on in the club. They didn't want to give us a meeting. They didn't want to give us a meeting, and finally I went to the secretary, I went to the treasurer, and they got us in and got a meeting for us.
I think that's a great point. One thing that I've said before is I've said we don't like to let one person say no on behalf of others, on behalf of a larger group. And I also try to look at some of the data too. Take a look at the giving reports for maybe the last 3 to 4 months. Has there been an increase in giving recently? That would certainly show interest. Are they a club that's given enough money to get a high per member average? Those clubs are absolutely clubs that are interested as well. Thanks for the great question. Barry, the next question here is about follow-up and about how many times and how frequently should we be following up with these clubs, but in a way that is appropriate and doesn't seem pushy, that we're trying to force them to make this decision. What's been your experience there?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you follow up after or follow up before to try and get in?
After you've made the presentation.
I wait a week. Unless I know somebody personally, I wait a week. And then I go in. I make a phone call. I talk to the person who I set the program up with or the president, and I ask them what the situation is. And I say to them, so that I'm not feeling pushy in the beginning, can I get back to you in another week? Maybe you'll have a better idea of what's going on. Or when is your board? Again, I ask them, when's your board meeting? And can I call you right after the board meeting? In other words, I don't want to push too hard, but I wanted to at least let them know that we're interested in what they're interested in, and that maybe we can help them in making a decision.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Another way that I've come at it as well is I follow up and make sure there aren't any unanswered questions. Oftentimes, after I leave, the discussion continues about the Eliminate project in the Model Club idea specifically, and so I ask to see, I ask if there are any questions that I can help answer in order to make sure that they can make the best and most informed decision possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Another question here, Barry, is we've talked about, and you've talked about it a lot, clubs have clearly already heard our message because they've given to the Eliminate project already at some level. What do you do when you get pushback from people in the club saying, well, we know all about the Eliminate project already. How do you make what you're going to present fresh and new and different so they're excited about your presentation?
Well, I think what we have right now is a very good avenue for that, and that's what I'm using now with people that say, well, you already came and gave me a program. I said, well, I want to come back and I want to talk to the board or I want to talk to somebody else because we have something now called the match, which I don't want to go into detail until I sit down with your board and officially present it to you. But I said, I think you're going to see some fresh stuff, and some new ideas. And I also want to give you an update as to how great this project is doing and how we have progressed over the last couple of years with this project. And I know, and I usually have the dates as to when I went or when somebody else went to that thing. I said, well, we haven't talked to you in over a year, so why don't we, let me come in and let me do this again.
I think that's a great point. I'm very consciously now I'm very consciously now saying to people that this is no longer a project that is going to happen in the future. It's no longer something that will happen. It's something that's happening right now, that we're succeeding at doing and impacting right now. And so that's a great way to get back into the club.
Yeah,
another question here, Barry, is about the Model Club matching program. The question is, can you run through that one more time? So remember, we ran through that example of 40 members with a $30,000 Model Club pledge. Could you maybe just run through that one more time and then explain why you think that's so important to emphasize when talking about it with the club?
Yeah, it's a unique opportunity from an anonymous donor, all right? You have to stress that it's an anonymous donor that is making this pledge to all clubs, all U.S. clubs. And what it is that they will give 20% of what's left on your pledge. And the way you figure it is, and I'll use the example again, if there's 40 members in the club, you multiply that times 750, and that comes to $30,000. Now, let's say the club's already given $5,000 toward the Eliminate project, so that brings it down to $25,000. That would be $5,000 a year for 5 years. Well, before you start figuring how much a year it is, you take 20% of the $25,000, and that's $5,000, and you subtract that from what the club has to give, and the club actually only has to give $20,000. And if you divide that out, it's $4,000 a year that they have to give over the next 5 years. Do you think I made it clear enough, Michael?
I do. And also the folks on the webinar agree as well. Also, another quick question that's related to the match. It's asking, someone's asking about, can the match be offered if my club is a model club and wants to upgrade to, say, becoming a gold club or a platinum club?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It can be. It basically works. I thought it was only platinum, but it can be a gold or it can be a platinum. If you multiply it out, a platinum is $1,500 and a gold is $1,000, right, Michael?
That's correct.
So you just multiply. You just use that goal. If you base it off of that.
And also, what's really great is something I've been emphasizing today, in fact, is that this matching program gives a club basically a 1-year cushion. Since it's matching a funds with 1 year, it's basically giving a club a cushion of that first year, so that way they can make sure that they get something like a fundraiser, well established, well entrenched, that they don't have to feel that pressure of right when they make the pledge that they have to hurry up and start raising funds.
Yeah, this is probably the greatest thing we have right now. Going for us is this anonymous donor with this match, because this, I think, is going to help us, and I think we're going to see over the next month or two a great increase. We've seen an increase already, but I think we're going to see a greater increase over the next month or two about this, and we're going to see the model clubs growing because of this match.
Also, one thing I do want to mention is also that when we're looking for clubs to offer this to, don't immediately discount or rule out clubs that are already model clubs or clubs that are bronze or silver clubs as well. If a club has already achieved its model club pledge or is very close or close to achieving its model club pledge, they clearly already not only understand the Eliminate project and what being a model club is, but they know how to fundraise for it as well. So approaching them to upgrade to a gold club or a platinum club is certainly something that should be taken into consideration.
I'll give you another example also. I have a club that's now achieved bronze status, and they were very, very reluctant. And I showed them how, from where they are now, to go to gold, because it's just, I mean, to go to model, it's not a big jump at all for them, and it's not going to cost them too much. They're a small club, and we can push it to go this way and use this match, and they can achieve this very easily.
That's another great point. That's a great point. You know, we have another question here, just making sure that we're clarifying that it's available for clubs that pledge from going to model club to gold, model club to platinum, to make sure that that it's understood correctly. And yes, so if you pledge, if you're a current model club and you pledge to go to gold club, or pledge from model club to being a platinum club, you will qualify for the match. It's not quite a change from early on. Just a point of emphasis now that an upgrade is available.
Yeah, that's basically what it is an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm looking at the thing here, and if you're talking for, instead of gold, let's say that based on the 30,000 for a 40-member club, that you've achieved model club status already, and you want to now, or you're close to that, and you want to now go for platinum, so it's another $30,000. So basically the same figures would apply, because you've already gotten 30, the same figures would apply, and you would still get the $5,000 on it. Am I explaining that right, Michael?
I believe so, yes. I think that's a great point. All right, another question coming in here from, I believe this person is from Kansas, just because that's my area. Another question is related to what's the best way to show a club that something like a model club pledge is achievable. And I really, you know, you talked about breaking it down, Barry, but can you talk a little bit more about what you do to show a club that something like a model club pledge, which may be a very large number to them, is achievable over a 5-year period?
Yeah, I asked them how much money they raise a year right now, and how much, and taking it all out, or are they keeping any, you know, in reserve? I show them with this, okay, you know, this is what you'd have to raise, and I show them what they'd have to raise a year, or, you know, I mean, we want them to try and raise it per year, but this is what you'd have to raise, and I give them examples of different fundraisers. My club now does a tricky tray, which if we need it, we can use some of that money to go toward this. We never did it before a couple of years ago, so we've added another fundraiser on, and we're giving more money out in the community and toward this. I sort of work them through by asking them questions about their fundraisers during the course at the end in the question and answer period, and I showed them how I think that they could possibly do it and not have, you know, a lot of different things. I give them other ideas. Something that's been good recently is, especially at this time of year, but any time, is cans at shopping centers with the Eliminate logos on them, and, you know, standing there, and, you know, it just gives you an added thing. If you can get, if you can make $300-400 in one session of standing there with a few guys at 2 or 3 different locations in the area, and you do that a few times, you can make your pledge.
Absolutely.
Have I gotten there, Mike?
Yep, I think that's a absolute great example. One thing to know, just a few stats to know about model clubs, just something to share, is that on average we're seeing clubs fulfill their pledge in 2 to 3 years, so they're not taking that full 5 years. So they're doing it faster. Barry talked about earlier the energy that's been created in his club from being a model club, the reinvigoration or re-engagement of members. That's certainly something that we see in other clubs as well. We see growth through the Eliminate project. It's a great opportunity to grow members, and it's also an opportunity to set a fundraiser for the Eliminate project that once you've reached your model club goal, you have a new fundraiser that you've created that you could use for a local initiative. Finally, just to give you the overview on the Model Club Match, so far, we've only been offering this for about a month now. 28 clubs have accepted the Model Club Match program, generating about $850,000 in pledges for the Eliminate project. So clubs are really starting to get on board with this, and it is working. Well, we've run out of questions. I know we said that we would take an hour of your time, but I always like to try to give everybody some time back into their schedules. So we here at the Eliminate Project Office would like to thank you all very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate the time that you're taking out of your very, very busy schedules to be with us. Together we can and we will eliminate maternal and neonatal tetanus from the face of the earth. We want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. Please, if you're traveling, travel safely. I also want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to Barry Warfel for taking time out of his evening as well to spend with us. So thank you, Barry. Really appreciate what you've done for us tonight.
You're quite welcome, and thank you to everybody for attending this evening, and happy holidays. And I hope that everybody has a happy and healthy New Year.
Everybody have a great night, and we look forward to seeing all the Model Club success that comes out of our webinar this evening. Thank you all very much.
Michael, are we staying on?
Nope, we can sign off.